So, casting in Unreal Engine. Let me show an example and then tell you when to use casting and when to not use casting, because it can be performance heavy. So let's start with an example. Let's right click and go to a blueprint class and let's add an actor. The highest one in here, because then we can cast to it. These one are lower in the hierarchy. So let's create an actor and let's name this BP test, because we will create a testing platform to add health to our player, so we can cast to the variables inside of it and call certain functions we create. So let's open this one up. And for testing purposes, we're going to add a cube so we can have a visual reference for this. Let's scale this one up so we can see this better. And let's also add a box around it. So look for a box collision and make sure to scale this in the same height and length. So we should have this in our level and it's direct right in front of the player, so we can have it for testing purposes for this tutorial. Okay, this should do for now. And then I'm going to cast this. When my player overlaps with this, I will cast its health and I add health. So in my third person blueprints, I have my third person character. And then inside the third person character, we can go into the event graph and we can create a custom event. So add custom event and let's call this add health. We're also going to create a variable. Let's name this health. And it can be an integer because I will be using whole numbers. And let's set the health to 100. Then you can get the health and you can set the health. Let's say our player overlaps. We're going to add 10 health to this. So drag out from health. Let's add not this one, but this one. And let's add 10 health to the player's health. And because we are still in development, let's print this health to the screen. So on the top left of the screen, we can see the health. Okay, so we need to fire off this logic, which is now inside my player third person character. So we have this platform, and with this box selected, we can come down here and then select on component begin overlap. And we want to overlap with the other actor. So we cast to the third person character, not the other ones, this one. So that's the object. So whenever we collide with this, then from this pin we can get anything we want. For example, we can add certain variables, we can get health or even set the health to something different, but let's call the function in this example. So every time I overlap with this, I'm going to look here and find this function. I can call any function or variable and it should work. So right now in my game, and look here to the top left of the screen when I go to the platform, 110, 120, 130, and it is updating like that. And well, you can use this for any other function you can add in here or any other variable you want to set or get. And this is casting, but don't cast everything. So use casting when you have a general reference, like an actor. So we have an actor right here. And you need to check if it is a player, for example, or an enemy, or when you need a widget from the player of a blueprint and you want to call a specific function or a variable inside of that. A simple rule to keep in mind, if you don't know the exact type yet, but you need to check if it is this one, so a hard reference cast to this one, then you can use casting. But you don't use casting when you already have the correct type, so you don't need to cast again. Or you do it on every tick, you don't want to use casting. So the event tick, which runs every frame, so don't use casting on that one. Or when you need many solutions. So a simple rule to keep in mind when you don't need casting, if you already know the type or if you're doing it constantly, you don't cast. There are better solutions which are less performance heavy, like blueprint interfaces or event dispatchers. I also have them on my channel.